After 7 o'clock, Roger just started the recording. We'd like to welcome everybody to the monsoon edition of the Tucson Macintosh User Group meeting for August. I'd like to welcome all of our sustaining members, new members, first-time guests, and switchers. There are free raffle tickets, including the super raffle, for members. And we're going to have a special raffle this month as well. And we're going to try something different. We're going to try to pick the winner at the end of the meeting live on screen. So let's see if it works out. The next meeting is on Tuesday, September 20th at this same virtual location. In September, we will have an Ask Me Anything session hosted by Kevin. Thank you every month, Kevin. If Apple has a special event in September, prior to our meeting, we will have a report on what was announced. And since Tony Ewing didn't make the last board of directors meeting, he was unanimously elected to do that for us in the September meeting. For the foreseeable future, all meetings will still be via Zoom. Please be polite and mute your microphone when you are not speaking. This will help everyone else enjoy the meeting. I already talked about the virtual raffle during the Zoom meeting. The names of tonight's attendees will be collated into a numbered list and used to pick a winner. We're going to try to get Siri to pick that number for us. And if the number picked is for a current member, then they will be the winner. If it's not a current member, well, then we'll pick again. It's like the super raffle. The list of attendees will be used to enter current members into the super raffle. If you are a member, please sign up for the TMUG mailing lists and subscribe to the calendars. This will put the events right on your Max calendar automatically with the links for the Zoom meetings. When registering for our groups.io mail list, please use the same email address that we have on record as yours. That's how we'll know who you are. If you don't know what that is, send me an email and I will give you the address of record. We are planning to hold a special interest group meeting on the topic of archiving family photos, although a date has not yet been set. Please stand by for news. If you have a topic or a suggestion for a special interest group meeting, please email it to me and we can send it in via the feedback form using the link in the chat. Are you interested in a photo walk? Photo walk is where a bunch of people get together and walk around the same area and take pictures. And then afterwards you gather at a coffee house or a restaurant and compare the pictures that we took. I'd like you to vote for that by raising your hand under the reactions, like I have just done. Oh no, I didn't. I did the wrong one. Raise hand. That's the one I want. Take that one away. So, anybody interested? Melissa's interested. Mark Yarnish. I'm already going to count Kurt and Roger. And Chris Wesselman and Doriana. Okay, we may have a quorum. If you have a suggestion, as we're going to wait until summer is over and monsoon is over, maybe sometime in October, we'll try to get together. If you have a suggestion for a place to go to walk around, please bring it up in the TMUG talk and we'll see what people are interested in. Places that I've had photo walks are downtown in the Old Town area, two back, the Tumacacari Mission, and 4th Avenue, University area. If you have a suggestion for a place, please talk about it in the TMUG talk. Thank you, and you can all lower your hand now. Are there any other announcements that I have forgotten? am wont to do that on occasion.
I have a suggestion that for something, I don't know if this is the right place for it, Bob.
Go
I
ahead.
was, it just came to me, when you were saying a raffle at the end of the meeting. How about doing something like a take control book? Like today we're doing shortcuts,
Mhm.
and Joe just came out with a new take control of shortcuts. You know,
He
raffle
does
something
not,
like that.
he does not give us those books to give away. I can get a copy of any of the take control books for you if you are prepared to do a book report on it and publish it.
Okay.
So that's, if you're want a book bad enough to be able to do a book report, let me know. We'll get it for you.
Yeah, I'm on an old listserv from Apple that gets all the books anyway, so.
Okay.
I was just thinking that he might be willing to give away a book every now and again.
That's
As a
not that's not the response I got from him.
Okay,
Are there any for sales or wanted to buys? I have a for sale, or actually free to good home. I have a nice Wacom tablet, free to good home. It works well, but the driver requires Mountain Lion or earlier. If you have a machine that runs Mountain Lion or earlier, and you would like a nice Wacom tablet, let me know. I can get it for you. All right, so those are our opening remarks. And next up, we're going to have our tech update with Ridge. Ridge, are you ready? Where is Ridge?
Sure. Right.
I'm
There he
ready,
is.
so I think I'll turn on share screen. First, is my audio okay?
Sounding good.
Okay. And here we are for the 2 months of July and August. And at first, of course, we'll look to see about our software updates, and Adobe was active with our Acrobat Reader, Illustrator, and Lightroom. And of course, one password got updated. And you can see the rest of the items there. Firefox had quite a few, and Chrome. Now let me move out that strip of items down below. Stand by.
We're not seeing anything down below, Ridge.
Well, I am, and it's blocking out part of my screen.
Okay.
Anyway, so there we go. And the next screen will show us some more of the common titles. Graphic Converter, if you use it, and LibreOffice got updated. And if you're running Office, it got the version 16.63. And if you're running the Photoshop clone Pixelmator Pro, it got updated. And Quicken and Spam Sieve and Thunderbird and Typinator and the Zoom is now at 5.11.5. And of course, Apple had its share of updates. Monterey 12.5 and Big Sur 11.6.8. And Safari 5.15.6 was included in the Big Sur update, and it was separate as well for other operations. Software, iOS and iPad and tvOS and the HomePod got a update as well. iMovie was updated. And also released the studio display. If you're running that, it got a firmware update. And the watch got an update, and security update number 5 for a Catalina, and Pages, Numbers, Keynote for iOS and the Mac OS got updated to 12.1. And they're called iWork. And Final Cut Pro, if you're running any of the professional applications, and Compressor and Motion got updated. Coming is Ventura, and another update for iOS and iPadOS. Also a new one for tvOS, watchOS, and Xcode if you're a programmer. They're coming. And here's the back to school program that Apple has. It's going to terminate in September 26th. If you buy an iPad, a 5th generation, an iPad Pro 11 or 12.9, and you'll get a $100 Apple gift card. And if you buy a MacBook Air, 13-incher or 14 or 16 MacBook Pro or iMac, and you'll get a $150 Apple gift card. And their financial report, they had a record-breaking $83 billion revenue for the third quarter, which was up over the last year's, and they declared a dividend. And now we learned that the Thunderbolt network attached storage company Drobo has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And they appear to have been affected by the coronavirus. Drobo support has not tweeted for over a year, and their main Twitter account has been silent since last December. And Drobo's online US and European stores are currently both showing every product is sold out. However, Chapter 11 filing implies that they're trying to reorganize and maybe return to full operation at some point. And here's some more news. The New York Times has reported that Johnny Ive is no longer a part of Apple officially, because their existing consulting agreement, which was up for renewal, was not extended. And Apple has now got a new logo, a new designed logo with an opening of a new retail store in London, UK on Brompton Road. They released a new form of their logo, which is on the left, and their opening day at that store is on the right. And if you're still interested in the HomePod Mini, Apple is still selling it, and this is what it looks like inside. And now we find that a man in the UK lost his iPhone in a river, and when he fell as the canoe he was in capsized. 10 months later, it was found by a different person who was in the same spot. And after that person used an air compressor and drying cabinet on the iPhone and connected it to a charger, that the iPhone's background appeared with a picture of a man and woman and the date the unit fell in the river. He posted that picture to Facebook, and it resulted in eventually finding the owner and returning that phone in full working order. And some hardware issues here. We have the iPods Pro that were made before October 2020. Apple has a free repair program for the crackling and staticky sounds when they're being used. And also if automatic noise canceling is not working as expected, and it covers affected AirPods Pro for 3 years after the first retail sale of that unit. And there's Apple's $1,600 27-inch studio display. There are reports that the audio gets choppy and eventually cuts out completely. And rebooting the connected Mac does not help, only restarting the display work. And that was reported to Apple way back in May. And they said it was a software issue that restarting the display will provide a temporary fix. And they've released a Studio Display firmware update 15.5 to fix the audio issue. How about the class action suit that was filed in San Jose? for 7 US states against Apple for that infamous butterfly keyboards and the MacBooks and the Airs and the Pro models between 2015 and 2019. That was settled by the judge July 18th. And Apple agreed to pay $50 million. If you replace multiple keyboards, you get $395. But if you only replaced one keyboard, you get $125. And if you just replaced a couple of keycaps, you get $50. But the law firm who brought that case is going to get $15 million in legal fees, which is going to be deducted from the $50 million Apple's going to pay. Apple and health. And they now say that wearing masks at their corporate locations is optional when you're at the office. Yay! And there's going to be a new set of emoji to be released in September, perhaps. And this is what they supposedly are going to look like. And Macworld has some tips as to how to keep your iPhone cool in the Arizona summer. And these are all listed here. Don't remove the case. Don't leave it in a car in the sun, and avoid the direct sun entirely, and avoid playing games. Stop using Bluetooth. Turn off location services. Avoid using the Maps turn-by-turn feature. Avoid the charging until you're somewhere cooler. Turn in airplane mode. That means all wireless functions then are off, and turn it off completely when you're not using it, and locate the iPhone inside your car on a mount that is next to or near an air conditioning outlet to let it cool off. Here are some of the rumors. And there's guesses on the internet about when Apple's augmented reality headset's going to be available, and maybe next year. And how about the next Macs that are going to get M2 Apple Silicon chips? Maybe the iMac, the Mac Pro, the iMac Pro, the Mac Mini, the MacBook Pro, and the 16 and 14-inch laptops. You know, we got an M2 MacBook Air already. And some think that a new MacBook is going to be released with an M2 chip and a 15-inch display sometime next year. And there's some indication that a Pro model large screen iMac with an M3 CPU is on the horizon, maybe for next year. And how about a really expensive titanium Apple Watch Pro coming sometime? And how about a new version of the Apple TV to be coming by the end of this year? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on all of these guesses. And of course, now we say we still have iron-on or sew-on patches and pins. And if you're at the next in-person meeting, each member will get a free pin. So thanks for your attention for that part of my presentation. And now we'll see what the items of security interest there are for these 2 months. And the software fixes from Adobe that had security fixes were Acrobat Reader and Illustrator. And Google, of course, had updates for Chrome for the Mac and Chrome for iOS. And Mozilla has updated Firefox and Thunderbird. Microsoft did have some security flaws fixed in Office for Mac version 16.63. And Apple had fixes as well. And just for information, the 12.4 release of Monterey had over 50 security patches. And 12.5 had 56. And Big Sur 11.6.8 had 32 fixes. And iOS and iPadOS had fixes, as well as tvOS and watchOS and the security update 005 of Catalina. And the other software that had software fixes had security fixes in it, Zoom 15.11.5. And Apple has announced that there is going to be a new lockdown mode coming to the iOS, iPadOS, and macOS later this year. And it's going to try to deflect attempts by government-level spyware to infiltrate the Apple devices of targeted activists, protesters, journalists, and politicians. It intends to protect its users' devices from being compromised and data taken without their knowledge or consent. And with lockdown mode enabled, you won't be able to receive anything but images and text via iMessage and MMS. All other document types will be blocked. And further, lockdown mode also prevents browsers from executing certain complex web technologies that are a reaction to past exploits and concerns about likely future vectors. Users can opt to add sites to a trusted list. In lockdown mode, wired connections are blocked whenever an iPhone is locked, and lockdown mode arrives in iOS 16, iPadOS 16, and macOS 13 Ventura later this year. Enabling it appears to require just a tap, a confirmation, and a restart, and you can turn it off with the same simplicity. How about some cyber crime news? And if you're getting spam phone calls, the calls that are really spam are likely to have these area codes. And I'll just leave it here for a second to see if there are any area codes that you recognize having gotten in the past. Okay. Here's more cybercrime news. There was a common online scam in July. There was a New Jersey woman's iPhone that froze, and a pop-up dialogue asked her to contact Apple's service, and they had a bogus telephone number to call. She called it and was asked to buy a Target gift cards and make Zelle payments, in which she did. And she paid more than $6,000 to the scammer. And this is a good time to remind you that Apple is not going to pop up a dialogue and ask you to call them at any time. Now, the best antivirus for this year, according to Macworld, is Intego Mac Internet Security X9, which is a pair of utilities designed to help you keep your Mac safe and running smoothly. They're called Virus Barrier and Net Barrier. They catch and kill malware threats, plus spot potential intrusion attempts from outside, as well as outgoing attempts from rogue software. The project is a two-way firewall and a good performance, but it's Mac specific with no Windows or Android protections, which shouldn't probably bother us. And it only costs about $25 a year for one Mac Intego. Okay, that's it for me. And thank you for your attention. Stay safe. And here is the stop screen sharing. There we go.
Thank you, Ridge. Appreciate all the work you do to get that set up every month. And our next meeting topic is Introduction to Shortcuts. I'd like to welcome Diana Mueller, who is a longtime TMUG member, but a first-time presenter. Diana, are you ready to take off?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Diane, we're not hearing you. Did your computer freeze? And Diane, it looks like you're still here.
Hi.
There she
Hi.
is.
Sorry, it's impossible for me to stop this. So what's the matter?
Well, did you hit play on Keynote?
Yes,
Okay, it didn't play for us.
it didn't.
No.
Okay.
There's a preference setting about allowing the max audio to come through.
Yep. For some reason, I'm not getting that little window that it shows. But anyway, okay. I don't know.
I'll share the screen again and see what happens.
Diane, you might try hitting play on Keynote first before you share your screen. See if that works.
Okay.
I remember there being some kind of order of operations.
Yeah, there you go. Nice.
Now share the screen.
Okay, we see your mouse.
Say
Okay, so
something,
you're
Diane.
seeing
Oh,
something now?
yeah, and we're hearing you.
Oh, great. All right. So you're warned. I really can't stop this easily and start it again. So here goes again. I have you. So raise your hand, Roger, if it's not doing it right.
Okay.
The first place to learn about shortcuts is in the shortcut app, but it has something called a gallery that is only visible online, and on your mobile device you get more of the options that are available. In order to see this gallery, you have to, how it has a see all here for a category. Well, in order to see the choices of the gallery, you have to keep opening it up until it shows, more. It gives you ideas for using widgets and shortcuts and Siri and shortcuts and the accessibility is things that like magnification and tapping the back of your phone to make it do something in particular. All of these others titles are starters, I guess. And the reason I say that is because you usually are going to add to these. It's almost a requirement. If you push see all, then you see the amount of choices to get you started. With our paperless society, we have the user guide for shortcuts online. I want to take note that it's under support, but that it's steps that actions that are done in a series that can save you time and effort because you do them in a row all the time. An action is one of these lines that says get something or do something. Those are all actions. They're input, and then you acquire output, and that's easy to understand, but it gets a little complicated eventually. Lines in between means that's exactly what's going on. It's working. Step one, step two, that type of thing. And automation, they go into that. This is a personal automation, and if you use a home app or something like that, you get to create an automation. Well, if you do that, it stays there. If you do it in the Shortcuts app, you can use it in the share sheet and add it and find it and use it over and over. I'm simplifying, but I gave you the basics, something to look out for those, and then where to find them in the gallery. This is at the bottom. It's going to show you that this is actually a book, and so if you click the next page, or next arrow there, you get the next page, and the table of contents is the same way. The shortcut basics is lets you know that you can use them in Siri and widgets and the Apple Watch and all of that kind of thing. A lot of times what it is you are creating a shortcut, but basically using a different application. So if you always work with photos, you create a shortcut that involves photos, but with Siri, you would want something involved in, your music or your home comfort or something along that line. So it is those steps that will determine what exactly you're going to want this to do. And each one of these things, you get down to the advanced pretty fast. And, the variables, lists, there's something that's called a magic variable that comes up almost instantly because it's being intuitive at the underneath when you put it an input in, and it's trying to guess what you want to do. Do that often enough, that step often enough, it will show up more often for you, or you can make it a favorite. There's actually something called a dictionary, which is not what you think, and it's a programming term, and it adds layers to steps that you want to take, like in a list or something like that. Using, the Finder, 3 dots, the Quick Actions folder that is visible in the menu bar on top. You have the things that you're used to seeing. There's no doubt about that everybody has copied something or open up the item that you're viewing with some other program. But what I'm showing you is these terms and word locations that are important to making sure that your shortcuts go in a place that you planned it to go. The quick look is in this also. You know that pressing the space bar gives you the same thing, but it is listed here along with the usual things. Same with the share sheet, the little box with the arrow. When you add shortcuts, you have the option to place them handy in one of these kinds of places. The more from system preferences lets you see where some things go. They go into an extension folder in the system's preferences. In the share menu, you don't want to do you don't want to have add to photos as one of the menu items, but you just uncheck it then and it won't show up. So that's a little bit of control for what you can do to change something. You can also go into the Shortcuts app and check something off there, but this is a second way to find things. The quick look, these are just items that at some point in my doing things, I must have added, the ability for those to show up. The actions are at the bottom down here. Actually, it's not. I'm sorry. The Finder quick actions is at the bottom down here. When you are viewing something, it shows up there, and you can add to that and make it, more available to what it is you want. The shortcut app gives you many of these options, but your application also gives you shortcut opportunities, and you can work. Without going through everything, you can work a shortcut in the actions folder. You can actually say add this shortcut to the actions folder, and then you realize the power of this when you're in the middle of working with photos or music or documents or whatever. It'll show up there. This is an example of what you see when you work with a shortcut. This is a variable, and you can select or deselect anything because they say it can be anything. You can limit that in your shortcut, and that might be advantageous to keep it from showing up for everything. This is the first action, and then you got a result, and so there's the input. In order to run a shortcut in your own shortcut app, you just touch it and it runs. I did the double click so that you could see the steps that were involved. That's the only reason I did that. Here it's showing you suggestions right away. The things that you could do from here. You don't just want to take a quick look at it. You want to do something else with it. And so it gives you all these suggestions. It doesn't really know what you want, but as you get using it, it might actually start guessing. A location is used when you want to, let's say, an event that you want to schedule, and you have to get there, and you'll be able to find out where it is and use a shortcut to go from your calendar and put in the address. Things like that, and it will, try to get you home by distance and things like that. That's kind of nice to know. And the sharing sheet, all these apps, clipboard, messaging, all of that. If you wanted to share something, you could start with this and see if what your choices are. Documents the same way. Whatever you're going to do with a document, these are the actions that you'll find. This is the action library, and here is the shortcut detail. It's not the same details as the three little dots, but this is where you select if you want it to be used for in your watch, the share sheet, the Finder, things like that. So you can regulate along the way what you want to do with it, or you can just run it. It'll show up wherever it does, and you'll find it. But it's nicer if you can choose what you want to do. These are under the apps thing. Each one of these apps is individually in here, and you find out exactly what you want to do. Like mail, these are the three actions that the mail choice is going to give you. Now, again, if you use another application, and it will probably add it to this list, and they are trying to give you more and more. They will be trying to give you commands for a shortcut. My grouping of shortcuts that I added out of the gallery. Now, sometimes I want to play a little bit more with what they gave me, so I duplicate it. Just kind of right click and you can open it, run it, duplicate it, and share it, and add it to the doc, which maybe or edit the color and icon. What they're describing is the little picture in the top left corner, and this one is the word of the day, and they gave it a little icon of a sun, something cheer you up every day, I suppose. But there's objects and people and symbols that all help to make them findable again. You'll start creating your own little routine of what to put there, and the color, it might be grouped by the use of them. Rosemary Orchard in her Take Control books pointed out right away, you're eager to test this out, and she starts you with something that is in the gallery, and a very fun way to see something in action just by playing the steps. I will open it so you can see what the steps are. You got a Merriam-Webster feed, and it will let you take a quick look at the word of the day. And I'm going to run this, and it will highlight as it's running. This little circle at the top said that it's halfway through now, so it's a progression of the activity. So the word of the day is listed here, just like the dictionary would do. And if I close that, it's going to show me that it showed up as a quick look. And if I push the little eyeball, it will show it to me again. And then I can share that. Let's say I really like the information, I want to keep it or send it. Your share sheet is ready right away. I have a shortcut for mail where I turn Wi-Fi on, I open it up, I do my thing, swipe it off the page, and I turn off Wi-Fi. I have the same thing for updates, and that helps me be able to do those individually. I was finding that I would be online for a while. I would do everything I felt I could do when I went off or a little bit later in the day. Every app was being updated while I was on or was there, and I never checked. Because of that issue, I decided to create something that kind of combined that. I turn the Wi-Fi on and run the shortcut update. And when that's done and I take that off the screen, I run the mail so that it's in the correct order. And then I turn Wi-Fi off. On the iPad especially, I open the Shortcuts app because sometimes it doesn't know what screen to give me, and if I call up the Shortcuts app, then I can swipe that off the page. There's a couple things. I have used wait at different times, because when I turn the Wi-Fi on and want to open an app right away, the app opens up and it goes, "What? You don't have a service." So I just put it up here and then open these up, and that takes care of it. sometimes I have to put in wait to return, and it's a similar effect, and wait to return to that app so that it doesn't close it out or get rid of it in any way. Open app. If I open the system preferences, then it could be first and then turn on the Wi-Fi. But another experiment I was doing, that didn't have that step, and I said, wow, maybe I don't need it. So I started getting rid of it as the first step, and sure enough, it does work to just turn the Wi-Fi on. Little things to learn along the way. You don't need to get everything right. If it works, that's really the name of the game. It works. Okay. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Diana.
That was fun.
Appreciate your work. It's good to see how that all kind of comes together, and hope you keep us posted as to how it proceeds for you. Before I go on to my little presentation, I want to alert everybody to the feedback form that Bob Doms put into the chat. And it was at 7:27. So please, if you would please, it's important for us to have the feedback form filled out, and it helps us plan for the future. Okay, I'm gonna go into my travel tips, and I'm going to ask Luis and Gerald to mute their microphones, and Diana as well. So I am going to attempt to share this screen. So has everybody seen my keynote presentation playing in a window?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay. I was planning to do a little report on what was happening in Macstock this year. Unfortunately, I ended up not going to Macstock. It wasn't anything big that made me change my mind, but it was a bunch of little things that all conspired to make me feel like maybe it's not a good idea. So instead of that, people are starting to travel again because a lot of us didn't travel since the before times. So I wanted to put together some travel tips for us, and we're going to take a look at those. Hopefully this will make your trip perhaps less stressful and more enjoyable for you, because you'll have your tech working for you instead of against you. Whether you are going someplace close by or someplace quite a long ways away, there are different aspects and different things that were going to be important to you. And so kind of take this stuff as it comes along and keep it or set it aside.
Bob, your keynote doesn't seem to be playing.
Oh, it doesn't. I'm on. Okay, let me stop the keynote and end sharing.
Is that
Start
because
the
you have to press play first before you share? Is that the order it has to go in? I always forget.
Yeah, I think so.
That's what I'm going to try. Okay, here's slide 1. Do you
Looking
now see
good.
slide
Yep.
2?
There you go.
Okay. It took me a long time to get all those bags together to take that photograph. I like these photos. So for whether you're going near or far, there's always something that you need to do. Packing it up, keeping it available to you when you need it. If you're flying, this may be the most important thing for you to do, is get the app called My TSA. It tells you a lot of things that you need to know before you get on a plane. And one of the sections is called, What Can I Bring? And it will tell you things like, it's okay to bring a 10,000 milliamp hour battery to help charge your phone, but not a 20 or whatever the restrictions are. So it's a free download brought to you by the Transportation Security Administration. Sometimes referred, TSA is sometimes referred to as thousands standing around. What is that Japanese thing where they take out all of their possessions and look at each possession and go, does this bring me joy? That's what you need to do with your computer bag. Take everything out of your computer bag and look at each piece. Am I going to need this? Gee, that looks like a 30-pin charging cable for a iPod from yesteryear. Probably don't need that. So separate the stuff into two piles. The stuff that you do need and the stuff that you don't need. And set aside the stuff you don't need. Look at the stuff that you do need. Look at it even more critically. Do you need anything else to take along with you? And make a list of what you need. You might consider organizing it with a gridded palette. I have one of these and it's getting kind of long in the tooth. I might consider replacing it, especially since currently, the last time I checked, which I think was today, the medium-sized gridded palette was only 15 bucks, which is less expensive than the small, which is what the picture was. Okay. A wise traveler once said, I pull out a brand new file folder every time I go on a trip. And as I'm making the reservations and the plans and all that, I print out all the stuff, even though they say you don't need to print it out. And I carry it with me. He says that on more than one occasion, he got to a hotel and the hotel said, well, gee, I'm sorry, Mr. Smith. We don't have a reservation for you. And then he pulls out the reservation printed out, hands it to him and said, well, I guess we do have a reservation for you. Let me find a room. So that's probably a good idea, even if you don't need it. It's one of those JIC things, just in case. You need to keep your stuff powered up. Charging your USB devices. Instead of having a whole bunch of different little chargers, you can combine them all into one, most likely. Here's one that I think Melissa is going to put into the chat, a link to it, that does 8 different USB devices and has a little screen that shows you what port is drawing how much juice and what the level of the battery is. Do you need that display? No, you don't need that display, but might be something that I'd like. I'm just that kind of guy. Have you ever gone into a hotel room and tried to plug in something to one of the outlets near the coffee maker or whatever, and the plug just falls out? And that's because there's been 5 to 10 to 15 things plugged in there every day for the last 10 years. The plug is just worn out. And you finally find one, it's behind the bed. So it might be a good idea to have an extension cord. Here's one that has 3 outlets for AC and 3 USB outlets. Might well be worth the weight and the money. And you might need some power even when you can't plug into something. Here's a device that will be a Qi charger for your phone. I think if you have the magnetic charger, it just kind of clips right onto your phone. and it is a 30,000 milliamp hour battery. Can you bring that on a plane? I don't know. You need to check under my TSA. Do you use your Apple Watch as your clock and alarm on the nightstand? Have you ever woken up to put your watch on and says, I've only got 20% power? And that's because the puck slipped off the back of the watch during the night. This is an item that was recommended on one of the podcasts I listened to. I didn't write it down. I just went and got the picture of it, and I can't find the name of it. I can't find it on Amazon right now, but there's all kinds of other devices that will help you do the same thing. Here's a little device that I have, and it charges your watch and has a battery, and it even has a USB-A port where you can charge something else, like putting some charge into your phone. This is something I've had since the before times. I can't find this exact thing on Amazon at this time, but if you search for Apple Watch, charger, battery, you'll come up with a whole bunch of items that can help you do that. When you get to your destination, are you going to rent a car? If so, you might want to bring one of these along. Many rental cars now come with CarPlay built in, but not all of them. It is, and you are in an unfamiliar city, going to a place you've never been before. You need help and directions. Trying to drive with one hand while you hold up your iPhone with the other hand to get directions is not recommended. So this little vent clip for holder for your iPhone, I think is only about $10. Much cheaper than wrapping a rental car around a telephone pole. Sometimes you need to find your stuff. And that's basically where AirTags come in. It's a good idea to keep one in your toiletries kit, because you're going to take that along whether you're going to go on a weekend and you take the small bag, or you go and take it along on a long trip and you put it in a big bag. So if you put your AirTag in your toiletries kit, it's always there for you. I also highly recommend a plain old, $2 nightlight as well. Don't stub your toe in the dark. Take a nightlight. If you're going to take multiple bags, buying an AirTag for each checked bag is a pretty small price to pay when compared with the heartbreak of having your bags lost. It may even help the airline find your luggage. You wait there by the carousel. Is my bag ever going to show up? It's not here yet. I'm starting to run out of bags up the ramp. Well, you can look at your phone and find out, why is my bag in Toledo? And then you can go to the lost luggage area and tell them, my bag's in Toledo. And they can say, well, how do you know that? Here it is. You can show them the iPhone for that bag. That bag is in Toledo. And you can get out of the airport more quickly. You don't have to wait around forever for the bag to come up, and they'll bring it to you. Keep one in other important bags as well, like the computer bag and the camera bag. Now, we do have a tale of woe and intrigue about, I don't think I need any air tags. And then finding out that, yeah, I guess I did. So I'm getting, Susan Clement was nice enough to put this in TMUG Talk, and she's also nice enough to repeat it here. Susan, can you tell us about your tale of woe and intrigue? Unmute your mic.
Yes, I'm very embarrassed about it. I don't go anywhere out of Tucson, but I lost my car key, which had on the key ring a house key and 2 mailbox keys. And I'm very annoyed with myself because I thought that it would be good to add an AirTag to it, but I did not realize that there are holders for AirTags. I was thinking, well, an AirTag would be great, but how do I attach it to keys? Well, of course, there are holders that can attach to keys, and I've ordered them now, but I have not found those keys. Sad story.
Well, when you get all the keys remade and your AirTag on a new key ring, then you'll find the keys that are missing. At least that's the way
Exactly.
stuff works for me.
That's what happens to me every time.
Now, my wife has an AirTag attached to her keys. And she has a car where you don't have to use a brass key to get in or to get it started. So it's attached to her key ring where the fob is that opens the door and unlocks the car and allows you to start it. And she keeps that in her purse. Kind of does double duty. She isn't going to go anywhere without her keys because the car won't start. She's also not going to go anywhere without her purse because that's where the AirTag is and where the keys are. So AirTags are really an interesting thing. Once you have them, I think you're going to want them. Okay, moving forward.
Bob, can I just put one small note about AirTags in there real quick?
Well, if you must, Kevin, go ahead.
One thing that I've noticed, I have several AirTags. When the battery dies, you'll get an alert on your phone that you left your keys somewhere. If that ever happens and you have your keys with you, it's just time to replace the battery.
That's a good point. And it used to be until the latest round of all OSs were updated, you could go to Find My and items and click on an item that has an AirTag, and you could see a little graphic of the battery, gives you an idea of how much power is left in them. But they, in their infinite wisdom, they have taken that away. My thought is, my hope is that they just found out it wasn't as precise as we want it to be. So we're going to take it out and then we're going to fix it and then we'll put it back in. That's what I'm hoping for. So we'll see. The batteries and AirTags are supposed to last about a year. So when you put a new battery in your AirTag, take a Sharpie and write the month and date, month and year on it, and replace them a year later. It's important to keep your data safe. In fact, backups are even more important when you're on the road, because what would happen if you lost all your gear or it was run over by a pie wagon? Now, anybody who can tell me where I got that part, run over by a pie wagon, and who said it, who I'm quoting, will get extra credit. One of the ways is to keep your stuff in iCloud. So whenever you are connected to Wi-Fi, all your new stuff is going to go up to iCloud and be safe up there. Another option along those same lines is backblaze. You might want to keep something with you as well. This is a small hard drive enclosure into which you can put your own 2.5-inch spinning hard drive or an SSD. It's pretty inexpensive. I think it's $15 range or something. If you have a little hard drive, that might be the way to go. You obviously can get bus powered hard drives or SSDs as well. Here's the thumb drive of choice for me at this point in time. They come in up to 128 gigabyte size. And what I like about them is that they are in both worlds. You see the little tab along the top of the thumb drive. If you push it that way, out comes a USB-C connector. If you push it the other way, a USB-A connector comes out. So if you are living with a foot in both camps, both USB camps, this can help you transfer stuff very well. And I'm sorry that Jerry isn't here, but I'm still going to quote him. May you have 1,000 backups and never need any of them. You want your tech to work together, so that's important as well. USB what? Having some of these hanging around in your kit might save your bacon. We have them here that go from USB-C to USB-A and from USB-A to USB-C. During your inventory of your computer bag, think about how many of these you need. Buy all of those and buy one more. I recommend Anchor brand. I have a couple of those here now, and my microphone is going through one of those. And they're not very expensive. Anchor brands were expensive. They're about $8 a piece. You can have them for $3 a piece. But are they worth it? Sometimes you can find stuff that's cheap and it's worth it. Now, you can be ambidextrous. Here's a cable that you can use with USB-C, Lightning, or mini micro USB connector. So you can have one of those around. While you're on your trip, you might want a little entertainment along as well. How about a small Bluetooth speaker? Here's one by JBL, a name that I recognize and probably most of you do as well. And it is Bluetooth. It's small, it's very water resistant. I wouldn't call anything waterproof. You might want it for music or podcasts or conference calls and other things. Some people are even bringing a Apple TV along with them. I remember being stuck in a hotel for 2 or 3 days during really bad storms in the San Francisco area. It was pretty boring. But had we packed this, of course, this was before I even had a computer. And I don't know if they probably didn't have Wi-Fi there, but if that happens to you now and the Wi-Fi is working, this can help you entertain yourself during those downtimes. And I see that Melissa's been very good about putting the links into the chat. I gave her a copy of my show notes, and I will put the show notes into TMUG Talk as well. And sometimes you travel internationally, and things can be a little bit different over there. Here is a power block that converts that foreign power to good old American power. It has 3 AC outlets and 4 USB outlets and a switch, and it comes with all these different connectors. So you can be ready to go global. Now, here's something that's very important for me, and I'm sure that Kurt Blanchard will agree, because we really need our hair dryers. Here's a hair dryer, small, inexpensive hair dryer, and it has a switch for 120 volt and 240 volt, and you can get a local adapter to get you the proper power coming in. My wife burnt up a hair dryer without one of these switches in it, and now she has this for the next time she goes international. It's recommended that if you're going to travel to a foreign country, that you research and get your SIM card here in the States, so you don't have to try to run around the airport looking for a kiosk to sell you a SIM card. And I think there's a link to a website, best SIM cards for each locale. Yeah, there it is. 13 best prepaid Europe SIM cards. So do your research before you leave and be all ready. I think all current iPhones can have dual SIMs in them at one time, an eSIM electronically and a physical SIM. So figure that out before you leave. You'll be happy in the end. And speaking of the end, that's where we are now. Are there any questions or additional suggestions?
Lots of cool stuff, Bob.
Well, I thank you, Chris. I appreciate the thought.
Thanks
I
for all
think-
the links in the chat. I've been madly clicking on all of them.
Well, the
Well-
idea is that we'll export that and they can be turned into show notes that you'll find in the handy dandy TMUG talk.
That's a good point. You know, we can export the chat with the three dots, right?
That's the plan.
Right.
You can do it yourself, or we're going to post it for you later.
Neato.
Okay, if there are no additional questions, we're going to move on to
Okay.
the point that you've all been waiting for.
Hey, Bob, is my thing
Yeah.
working?
Yeah, it is.
I was in a developer chat a couple of months ago, and somebody gave a hint for travel that I've never seen before, and I've showed it to a few people. And okay, do you ever travel by plane?
I haven't.
Anybody?
I haven't for a long time.
How
But-
would you normally track a flight information, gates and stuff like that?
With
Flight
the
aware.
airline app.
Well,
There's
there's
apps
actually-
for that.
Actually, Apple built it into the iOS and the Mac OS, into iMessage. If you know your flight, like say it's United Air
1, 2, 3, 4.
5873, you would send yourself a text with a capital UA and then the flight number. And when you receive that text, it becomes a hyperlink. And when you tap that hyperlink, it shows you all the flight information.
Oh, it's a data detector.
That's a great tip.
And
One
it
that I
works on the
certainly didn't.
Mac, it works on iOS, and it only works in text. It doesn't work in email and notes or anything else. So you have to send yourself a text with the flight information, and you have to know the abbreviation of the airline and then the flight number afterwards.
Well, there's so few airlines these days. It's easier to remember the code letters for the airline. Anybody else?
That's a good one, Kevin.
Okay,
Hi, this is Alexis. I'm not sure that I'm on. Am I on?
you're on.
All right, it's been 100 years since I was the travel matron. I am hoping to do a photo trip in February and want to be able to back up my photos on, I'll have multiple cards, but I won't have a laptop. So, but I don't want to just trust them to be on one media. How do I back up from a photo card to the cloud without a laptop, without a computer?
They make a special drive for that. Let me find the link to it.
Cool.
Are you gonna have an iPad?
I have an iPad,
You can download your
Okay.
card to an iPad.
but how?
There's
'Cause
a, there's a
it's a
kit. for
card
that.
from a camera and the camera's not going to connect to the iPad.
No, you take the card and there's a connector. You plug it into a little connector and it plugs right into your iPad.
Camera,
Okay.
Apple Camera Connection Kit might
Yeah.
be the name.
Yeah, but that moves everything into your Photos app. Let me send this link to you. Amazon has one that's only $100. And I just put the link in the chat. So
Cool.
basically, it's a hard drive that you plug your flash drive in and it blinks, and when it stops blinking, everything on your flash drive has been copied to the drive.
Okay. Thank you. As I said, it's been a long time.
Excellent. Thank you for your question, Alex, and thank you for looking it up for us, Kevin. All right, so now the moment you've all been waiting for, and that is the raffle. So I've been making a list of everybody as they join the meeting. And now I'm going to open, and there's been 25. I'm going to ask
I just want to say thank you, weather gods, for being in our favor this evening.
well, that's good. We had some rain and thunder at my house, which is a long way from your house. I know that. But it seems to have stopped by now. Okay. Ask for Miss Siri. Pick a number between 1 and 25.
It's 10.
Number 10 is Kurt Blanchard. Congratulations, Kurt.
Yay, Kurt.
You are not eligible. So we're going to try this again. Pick a number between 1 and 25.
It's 2.
And that is Luis. Luis, I see your name.
Yay, Luis.
And Kurt is Luis's membership current.
Yes, it is.
Luis, you are the winner of the raffle, and I will send you a Apple gift card for
Yay.
your troubles. So that worked out pretty well.
Congratulations.
And thank you, Siri, for helping us pick the winner. If there are no other questions, no other business, I think we're going to conclude for the evening.
Hey,
And
Bob,
remember
Just
in
save the
the chat, save the chat, Bob. Remember to save the chat, Bob.
Save the chat. Save the
Uh,
chat. God
Susan-
save the chat.
yeah, or Susan's going to get on my case like she
Good
did
one.
last month with good reason. Okay, well, I want everybody to on their long journey home from wherever you are now, please drive safely and come back and see us again next month. Save chat. Show in Finder. There it is. Okay, I saved it. And I'll send it off to you, Susan. You'll have it in a few minutes. Goodbye, everybody. Good night. Sweet dreams, and see us next month.
I texted it to you as a backup just in case.
Great. Thank you.